Welcome to Our Highest Work, a podcast where we are exploring the best ideas for spiritually based business success. My name is George Cow, and in today's episode, I'm going to be exploring with you a concept, a new way of thinking about marketing that I've just begun to use. And I call it the evolution of marketing. And it is, I'm going to take you briefly through the journey from selling and enrollment to content marketing, which you may have heard that phrase. Content marketing is very popular these days. It's the idea that you generously share useful content with the world, and you therefore attract a tribe of fans to you, and then you can sell to that tribe. And then the third stage, which right now I'm just exploring these ideas and calling it benevolent marketing. I've used the term virtuous marketing before. I'm trying out this new phrase, benevolent marketing. So let me know which one you like better, or if there's another one you like better. So what I hope you'll gain from this episode, from listening or watching listening to this or watching this, is that you'll come to understand why sometimes you feel conflicted inside about selling and enrollment, and your desire to altruistically, generously share your message with the world, and how you can actually finally come to peace with those two areas. So this should be an interesting episode, and as always, I look forward to your comments and questions. All right. As always, I want to start with a quote, and this quote is from Mahatma Gandhi, and he said, "Always aim at complete harmony of thought and word and deed. Always aim at purifying your thoughts, and everything will be well." So this is where we're going to start with the evolution of marketing. Is that for a lot of people who have to do marketing or sales for their business, and truthfully, most businesses have to do marketing or sales to stay in business or to expand their business, there is a conflict within, internal psychological conflict, when it comes to their selling and enrollment. Because when they sell and enroll, they feel like they're not really doing right by the world. They feel like they should just be giving away information, being helpful to the world, basically, right? And on the other hand, when they are fully helpful, altruistic, treat the world with generosity and kindness, they often don't get the right amount of sales to stay in business. And I'll tell you my story briefly so that you can get a sense of how my own business has followed this evolution. So I started in business in 2009, and from 2009 until 2012, so about 4 years, I focused almost completely on the sales and enrollment, on selling and getting really good at selling and enrolling. And I did really, really well in those years. In some months, I made, there was 1 month or two, I made $70,000 in just that 1 month. But in many of those years, I made between $20,000 and $50,000 was very normal per month. So I did very well in being good at selling and enrollment. And here's the thing. When you get good at selling and enrollment, you can make a lot of money. That's just the way it is. But much of selling and enrollment, in my opinion, is not done ethically. Ethical selling and enrollment is about, first of all, making sure you have a product or service that the world really needs and wants. So this is the tricky part, right? People think, well, I've created something that the world needs, but how come no one's buying it? Well, because you haven't created something the world wants, right? To know what the world wants, you observe what people are paying for. You may have to do interviews, you may have to do surveys, or just notice in the area you want to serve, what are people paying for? Okay, what are people buying? That's what people want. What people buy isn't what they need. They buy what they want. Hopefully, if the business is ethical, they will also have produced something they need, that the customer needs. But that's not always the case. Businesses produce, if businesses are doing great in their sales, it's because they produce what the market wants. And if they're ethical, they've also produced what the market needs, right? For example, there's a lot of junk food. Why are junk food? Does the world need more junk food? No. The world wants, I should say, the world. Many people, sometimes all of us, right, and sometimes in our lives, want junk food. That's why the junk food companies not only stay in business, they thrive. Same thing in my industry of coaching. So many people buy coaching programs and business trainings that sound so good. They can make a lot of money and whatever, so they buy into that stuff, and then do they ever really make them lots of money? Usually that's not the case. So they've been sold what they've wanted, but not necessarily what they actually needed. And so selling is about giving people what they want. Selling ethically is about giving people what they want and what they truly need. And so ethical selling, okay, and so let me actually come back to the original premise of this episode, which is purity of heart. So ironically, salespeople who tell you they're a salesperson, who are honest with you about what they're doing, they're trying to sell you a product. You go to a car dealership. You know that the car salespeople are trying to sell you a car. They're not trying to help you with your life. They're not trying to, help you, feel more confident and look better and all that stuff. They may tell you that's what they want to do, but you and they both know they're trying to sell you a car. Okay, they're not in the car sales job to try to make the world a better place. That's not their primary intention. They might say that, well, I really believe in my product. I really believe that this hybrid car will really take some pollution off the road or whatever. Or I really believe that this car will make people feel more confident and then therefore makes their life better in all kinds of ways. But they're primarily there. They go to their job each day. It's like, I'm here to try to sell more cars today, this month. And I'm here to sell you a car. And I'm going to do my best job to sell you a car, right? So ironically, they're pure of heart. There's a purity of heart in that transaction. They're trying to sell you a car, and you're trying to buy a car at the least amount that you can pay. Okay? There's purity, generally speaking, on both sides, right? There's no conflict of, oh God, am I doing wrong by selling them a car? No, I'm selling them a car. That's why I'm here. Now they may not believe in their product, and that's where the conflict may come in. But if they believe in their product, they're really trying to sell it to you. So there's purity of heart. And they may, as a byproduct of the selling process, build a rapport with you. They may feel good about talking to you. They may even help you out in some ways. But the main intention, the main purpose is to sell you a car. And you know it and they know it. Okay? Now, as I said, if they're an ethical salesperson, they will do filtering or qualifying. Okay, these are terms in sales, which means filtering means making sure I am selling to the right people, making sure I'm talking. If they're doing filtering, that means in the first 5 minutes they want to make sure that you are really going to be buying this. You're really have an intention to buy this type of car today. If you don't have an intention, then they won't spend much time with you. Okay. Actually, I should say that that's not really ethical. That's really more effective selling. Ethical selling is qualifying to make sure that this product is a good fit for what you're looking for. It's really what you want and what you need. So an ethical salesperson tries to better understand what you're really needing in your life at this time, and whether this car, whether this product, whether it's a car or a coaching program or healing services, whether it's really a good fit for what you need at this time, not just what you want. Okay? So that's what an ethical salesperson does. An ethical selling. Okay? They are really trying to help you solve the problem, whether it's their product or service, or whether it's someone else's product or service. I do this in my sales conversations. When I get people on the phone who are considering my coaching program, well, first of all, I say that please get on this. Okay, please only do the free 30-minute call with me if you're really considering my coaching program. So I'm clear with them. So my intention is to sell you my coaching program, but not to do it in a slimy way. My intention is to do it as an ethical way. I get you on the phone if you really have considered my coaching program, but when I get you on the phone, I try to figure out what you really need, and you may not need my coaching program. I actually try to talk people out of my coaching program because I want to be sure that there's other cheaper ways of solving their problem and better ways of solving their problem. And if there isn't, and if my coaching program is really the thing they need to solve their problem or to help them reach their goal, then I help them figure out whether it's the right fit. Okay? Or help them figure out, now that we found it's the right fit, I help them figure out, understand it so that they can really use it well, right? So that's ethical selling. Oh, and also timing. Part of an ethical salesperson is helping the customer figure out whether it's the right timing to buy the product right now. Okay, so that's stage one of marketing is enrollment and selling. And what I mean by the stages, meaning I have been seeing that marketing in general, marketing in the world, has been going through these stages. It first went into selling and enrollment, and particularly ethical. What does it mean to be ethical in selling and enrollment? And then nowadays, marketing has been moving into what's called content marketing. And content marketing is things like blogging and podcasting and sharing ideas generously on social media like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Pinterest, Pinterest and Tumblr, StumbleUpon, lots and lots of content platforms out there. So the content marketer basically tries to share useful information in as generous a way as possible to the world. And the idea is if they share prolifically, if they share a lot of useful, attractive, digestible information with the world, their right audience, their ideal audience, their right tribe, their ideal fans are going to find them through search engine, through seeing them on Facebook, through seeing them on Twitter, through having their content, their blog, their podcast, their article, their video. YouTube is also a content marketing channel. Their content is going to be found on the search engines or being referred by a friend or a colleague. Okay? So content marketing shares useful information in order to build an audience, in order then to sell them something. Okay? Now, this is the benefit of content marketing, is that there's this idea of generosity. Oh, I'm just sharing content generously, really trying to help people, and then if they want to buy my thing, they buy it. But of course, you can tell that I don't think it's I don't think it's the ideal solution, and let me tell you why. There is sort of two camps in content marketing. They don't even know that sometimes they don't even know that there are two camps and which one they're in, the content marketer. And the one camp, it's the people who are really altruistic, the bloggers who just share lots of free information, blogging, the podcasters who just do their very best, and they believe, they have faith that if they share really useful, what they believe to be useful content, that their right people will find them. Okay? And if their right people will find them, then their right people will even ask to buy something from them. Okay? This camp, I'll call them the altruistic content marketers. And the problem with the altruistic content marketers is that the good thing about them is they're really motivated by altruism. They're motivated by giving and helping because they feel good giving and helping. Okay? And they also have this idea that if they give and help generously, enough people will find them, and then eventually they'll be able to sell something. The problem with the altruistic content marketers is that they are still conflicted about selling and enrollment. They have this fantasy that if they just give enough, enough people will find them, that it will be very easy to then sell something to them. And they find, and what the problem also is that the altruistic content marketers, they don't make time to sell and enroll. They don't make enough time to figure out the sales and enrollment part of their business, of their marketing. And so they often just blog, or for years they do podcasts, they do video marketing, or they do videos for sometimes years, and they still can't make a living doing what they love. Because they don't make enough time and effort to do the sales and enrollment. Why? Because they feel somehow icky about sales and enrollment, because they have bought into the fantasy that if I just give, that I'll have enough true fans to who then somehow the selling enrollment becomes so easy, because my true fans will be asking to buy from me. I'll somehow be able to ask them what they want, I'll create something what they want, and they'll suddenly they'll just buy even without much effort in selling. Now, the reason why they believe this fantasy is that there are a lot of people selling this fantasy. There are a few people who have actually been able to make that work, but the few people like Leo Babauta and who else? A few people, I mean literally there's so few it barely comes to mind. People like Leo Babauta are selling this fantasy, and by the way, Leo Babauta is one of my heroes. ZenHabits.net, one of my heroes. I truly love him, but I've come to the realization that he is actually selling a fantasy. And the fantasy he's selling is just give. Or maybe I shouldn't say he's selling a fantasy. He's not trying to sell a fantasy. It's that his message people interpret in a way that takes them on this fantasy path. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Because I don't believe Leo's trying to do that. It's just that he is giving the message of helping. Eventually, it's really the message I believe in too, which is pursue the kingdom of God, and then everything else will be given to you, right? And also what Gandhi has said in the beginning of this episode, I said, always aim at purifying your thoughts, and everything will be well. Okay, but those are all great ideas and true ideas, but people like me have taken them wrongly, have interpreted them wrongly. Okay, so I said there are two camps in content marketing. The altruistic content marketers, which give, don't give enough time and attention to selling and enrollment, and therefore they go out of business, or they can't sustain their content marketing. And then there's the other camp, which is the camp of also the copy blogger camp, copyblogger.com, which is this idea that, okay, we're going to do content marketing, but at every step of the content marketing journey, we're trying to connect it to our sales and enrollment funnel. We have this content marketing sales funnel, we have this enrollment funnel, the sales funnel, and every piece of our content has to somehow be connected to this funnel where they're reading, they're listening, they're watching, and then they get to the next level where they're reading more, they're watching more, they're listening more, and then they should always be connected to the sales funnel. So maybe there's there's a cheap product. After they read, watch, or listen a lot, then they'll hopefully decide to buy our cheap product, and then after that they'll be upsold to our more expensive program, and eventually one-to-one. So there's this funnel idea, and I'll tell you, it works, right? It works in a lot of cases, but I'll tell you why that's not the ideal solution. Because there's a conflict inside. I'll call this the funnel content marketers. Okay, the funnel. There's the altruistic content marketers, and then there's the funnel content marketers. The funnel content marketers always have a subconscious psychological conflict. The conflict is they know they're not giving with altruism in mind. They know they're giving to try to convert people into their services and products. And it's fine if that's really what the audience also understands that they're doing. But the conflict within the funnel marketer is that they know they're trying to convert people through their free content, but they're not being honest with their audience. Usually, they're not being honest with their audience, like, hey, I'm really giving you free content because I really hope you'll spend money with me. Okay? All this content, I'm not doing it to help you. I'm not doing it for my own health. I'm not doing it to help you. I'm doing it for my sales. So they're not, most of the time, they're not being transparent with their true intentions. And so there's this conflict. And this conflict, I'll tell you, does not liberate them into their full creativity. It does not, whereas the altruistic content marketers are liberated in their full creativity to say, I'm just going to give, 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 give. I'm going to do my very best to be as helpful as I can to the world, or as creative as I can, to speak my true voice. The funnel marketers are not liberated. They're always looking at the metrics. Oh, did this piece of content, they're always checking their metrics. They're always checking their stats. And therefore, there's pain, there's suffering. It's like, oh my God, this piece of content did not get enough comments or likes. And actually, the altruistic content marketers are also suffering because they're also looking at stats, because they're also saying, is my content building enough of a tribe then I can sell to? Do you see how both content marketing camps are suffering? Okay, I'm using the sort of, when I say suffering, I mean the Buddhist term of suffering. They're really suffering inside. They're still grasping at sales. They're still grasping at enough money. So now let's move on to the third stage. And this is the third stage that I have just had this aha moment in the past month, really. So this third stage is one that I haven't seen taught elsewhere. So you may be hearing this for the first time. And if you have seen this taught elsewhere, please let me know, because I would love to learn from the third stage people, because I haven't seen the third stage people. I know they're out there, but so please let me know if you find them. So the third stage, I'm going to call it benevolent marketing. This is a term I'm sure that I'm probably pioneering this term. I don't know what term to call it yet, so let me know what term you think this is. But the benevolent marketing people have no psychological conflict. And they use the best of both worlds. They use the best of both stages. They use the best of the ethical selling stage, and they use the best of the content marketing stage. All the lessons we learned from content marketing, how to distribute content in a viral way, how to create engaging content, all that good stuff. Okay? Now let me tell you why there's no psychological conflict and why it's the ideal solution. In benevolent marketing, you are clear that business requires sales, so that you have the purity of heart of the ethical salesperson, and you have the purity of heart of the altruistic content marketer. Well, actually, the purity of the altruistic content marketer is still conflicted, but you have the purity of heart of truly helping, altruistically giving content for free. So I've come to the realization that in my business, for the first 4 years, from 2009 to 2012, I was, actually no, it's actually from 2009 to 2013, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So for about 5 years of my business, I was focused on selling and enrollment. I first went from being focused on just making sales. From 2009 to 2010, I was really focused on making sales. Then 2011, 2012, 2013, I was then evolving into this ethical salesperson. I was trying to say, okay, how can I truly sell what people need, not just what they want? Okay, and how can I really help them find the right solution, whether it's my product or someone else's? I really evolved 2013 to become an ethical salesperson. And then 2014, from January until August, I really have been doing the whole altruistic content marketing thing. I've been creating this podcast, generously giving as much as I can, but really in the hopes that some of you will buy my coaching program so I can stay in business. So I was still conflicted, you see, which a lot of podcasters are, a lot of bloggers are, a lot of video YouTube channel hosts are. They're still conflicted because they're still hoping that enough people will watch so they can sell advertisement, or they're still giving content with a subconscious desire for the money. Okay, so there's still not a wholeness to their content giving. Starting now, September of 2014, I've realized that, guess what? There are two separate activities. There's the activity of ethical selling, which I need to give enough time and energy to in my business. And ethical selling, how do you sell ethically without having to depend on the content? So you see there's these two arms. There's ethical selling, and then there's the content giving. I call this the legacy content. what I mean by legacy, and again, that's probably not the best term, so I welcome you to tell me what you think. And you can see I'm still trying to figure this out, right? As I teach this to you, the sales and enrollment has to be given enough time and energy in your schedule. Otherwise, you're going to go out of business. And the sales and enrollment, effectively doing that means things like focusing on referral sources. Okay, if you focus on the referral strategy, if you do a good job there, and actually what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to, for those who are happen to be watching this video, I'm going to share with you my mind map on a screen share. For those who are just listening, I'm going to talk everything out so that you can actually follow along as well, and then later you can watch this if you want to. So okay, I'm going to share my screen now, and you should be seeing this now. So how do you sell and enroll effectively and ethically? Okay, it's about three things, right? It's about matching, it's about service, and it's about enrollment. Let's talk briefly about what is matching. Matching is making sure you do the niche interviews and the surveys and the conversations so that you are making sure you're and clarifying your business model and strategy and pricing. You're doing your niche mate research. You're making sure that you are selling something that people want as well as need. So that's matching, is making sure you're selling something people want and need. Because if you spend all this effort bringing traffic to your website, but you're not selling something people want, no wonder you don't have any sales. But if you make sure you're selling something people want through, and in my mind map, I give you all kinds of, strategies of doing that. Niche interviews and niche mate research and clarifying your business model and pricing and clarifying your credibility indicators, all that stuff. Okay? If you do a good job of matching, you will be effective at selling. Because you're actually selling I'll give you an example. If you had the cure to cancer, you don't have to do very much selling because you have something people want, okay? Or if you have a weight loss pill that is natural, that won't harm them, that's what people want, right? Or, fill in the blank, right? You know if you do enough surveying and interviewing and looking at the market, then you know what people want, what people are buying, okay? All right. The second part of making sure your selling is effective is service, okay? If you don't have a good product or service, you can still make a lot of sales, but you're not going to get the natural referrals, and you're still going to be working for the rest of your life trying to sell. But if you keep improving your service, when I say service, I know most people listening to this are selling a service, that's why I say that, but it could be applied to product as well. If you keep improving your service over time and do such a great job of client experience, your clients, you're going to have to sell less and less over time because eventually you will reach the holy grail of marketing, which is that you will never have to market again. Your customers, your clients do all the marketing for you because you have such a service that so matches what they really want and need and does such a good job of meeting those wants and needs that they'll just sell for you. Okay? That's a holy grail, and you should be making incremental improvements all the time, right? And finally, enrollment strategies are things like referrals and making sure you're keeping in touch with the warm contacts correctly and making sure you're doing good launches and getting feedback about your launches and doing split testing and optimizing your offer for specific audiences, things like this. And again, I give you all kinds of strategies and help in this mind map, okay, for this stuff. Okay, I give you all kinds of stuff in here, all kinds of tips and strategies for that. So good selling enrollment is basically regarding matching service and enrollment. Really, enrollment is things like, again, like I said, launches and referrals, things like that. Okay, so you have to give enough time. So let me ask you right now, do you have time scheduled into your calendar on a weekly or monthly basis to do these things of matching, of improving your service, not just giving your service, but improving it, and of doing good enrollment? Do you have time scheduled out for that? If you don't have time scheduled out for that, chances are you're not doing enough of that. And if you're not doing enough of it, no wonder you don't have enough business, right? Okay. Now, let me kind of stop the screen sharing for now, because I'm going to end this episode right now, and just because we're running short on time here. So you've got the sales enrollment you got to make enough time for. The other thing you've got to make enough time for is the content giving. And let me tell you what the content giving involves. I think about content giving in terms of two separate arms. Okay? Content giving has two separate arms. On the one side is exploration, and on the other side is legacy. Exploration is using platforms where you are energized and excited to explore your ideas. So as an example, this podcast, okay, and importantly, for the exploration, you don't worry about metrics. You do not worry about stats. You do not worry about how many people are liking your content or commenting. You don't care, and you have to actively ignore your temptation to look at how many likes are there, how many comments are there, how many thumbs up are there, how many views are there, how many downloads are there. I'm learning this now. Okay, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, when it comes to my exploration, this is the time for me to use this platform to think out loud, to explore. And if this exploration is beneficial for my audience, wonderful. That's a great byproduct, but it's not my intention. My intention is to explore, okay, to explore ideas. And so I ask you, which medium do you like most? Do you like to write? Do you like to talk? Or do you like to be on video? It's basically these three when it comes to online, right? Exploration. If you like to write, then use a blog to explore your ideas, to write out loud, to think out loud, to structure your ideas, and don't worry how many people read your blog. Remember, that's the legacy side. That's the viral side of content. We're talking about the exploration side. If you separate these, you will have purity of intention and heart and focus on doing these, and you won't be conflicted. I realize that this has been my problem, is being conflicted, and maybe yours as well. So choose the medium. Like for me, I like being on video. I really like talking more than being on video, but if I'm gonna talk, I might as well make it into a YouTube video anyway. So I don't like to write. So for my legacy content, I'm actually outsourcing. I'm paying someone a very affordable rate. You can find someone from anywhere between $4 to $20 to be really, really good at taking. If you like to speak like I do or be on video, you could pay someone between $4 and $20 an hour to take your content and turn them into blog posts. That's what I'm doing now, right? And I'm making sure okay. So back to exploration. If you like to write, blog. If you like to speak, do a podcast. Let that be your exploration, because your exploration, let your byproduct of your exploration help people. You might as well. And of course, part of the exploration is occasionally seeing what the feedback is from your audience, so you can further hone your ideas, and then you can also see what you want to transfer into the legacy content arm. Let me say this again. When you're exploring in real time, you don't worry. Like, I'm not going to worry anymore about how many people are live watching this like I used to. If you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast over the years, or over the months, I should say, you'll notice that I was kind of worried, right, in up to now about, how many people are watching this, how many people are listening, how many people are commenting. From now on, I realized, for purity of doing this, for focus, I'm not going to care anymore. I'm just going to explore. And then occasionally, once a month, once a month to once every 2 months, when I send out an email to the email list of our highest work to give them an update of what are the most popular episodes in the past month or two, I will then look at the stats and say, wow, okay, which episodes got the most views or likes or positive comments? And then at that time, I'll say, all right, so these are the episodes that did the best. I will then turn them into blog posts. That will be then my legacy content. So let me talk about what I mean by legacy content. Legacy content, again, I'm trying to figure out the best term, so let me know what you think, is what will you leave behind for the world to remember you by, to keep benefiting long after you're on to the next lifetime. Okay? So what if you had 6 months left, if you have a year left, okay, if you have 50 years left, what is the messages you want to leave to the world to truly help the world? Okay, that's what I call your legacy content. And when it comes to legacy content, I'll tell you that there is a blog post online called The Ideal Length of Everything. What is the ideal length of a blog post? What's the ideal length of a podcast? What's the ideal length of video? What's the ideal length of a Facebook posting or whatever? There's a blog post, and I will put it in the show notes for this episode so that you can see that blog post. You can also Google it, The Ideal Length of Everything Online. Just Google it and you'll find it. When it comes to legacy content, you have to think about the ideal length. Okay, so for me, legacy content is the thing that can be spread most easily. And so when it comes to that, I think about blog posts can be spread easily. Short videos can be spread easily. So the ideal length of a video in my research is 3 minutes and 20 seconds, supposedly. That's the one that gets the most, sort of the ideal length that goes viral and all that stuff. I've also seen another article basically that says the shorter the video, so between 0 to 30 seconds is the greatest number of views. It's probably true, but it's hard to flesh out any idea in 30 seconds, right? So I would say 3 minutes and 20 seconds is sort of a good medium for that. Okay, blog posts, short videos, image quotes. You've seen those too on Facebook and Pinterest and elsewhere. Quotations that have a beautiful image in the back and a quote. So that also can go viral. Slideshows on slideshare.net can go viral. Books on Kindle, right, or ebooks can go viral as well. So that's going to be my legacy content. I'm really going to focus on blog posts, ideal length being 1,550 words, 1,550 words based on my research, or 7 minutes of reading. Blog posts I'm going to do, and then image quotes, and 3 minute and 20-second videos, which I haven't yet started, but I will eventually, based on what topics I talk about and explore that seem to have the best helpfulness. I'll turn them into really, really short videos, and then eventually I'll write a book. Now, when it comes to a book, I used to tell people, just like some of my marketing partners tell people, oh, a book is like a big business card. You want to write books quickly so that they can give you credibility. Now, that's fine. But I want to do something more than that. I want to really write a book that I would consider a seminal work, something that I would be proud to leave behind, not just a big business card. So my legacy content in terms of a book isn't going to come for a couple of years, because I'm basically going to edit my best blog posts into a book. Okay, so the great thing about this separation between time and effort with ethical selling and time and effort with content giving is that you will be fulfilling all of your needs. You'll be fulfilling your sales needs, your revenue, your money, income needs in an ethical way, and you'll be fulfilling your heart-based needs of truly helping people and leaving behind a legacy. And the great thing, of course, is that there's byproducts to each. There's side fringe benefits to each one. So the fringe benefit is that, of course, you're truly helping people there as well when you keep improving your service, and and of course, your fringe benefit of getting more ideas that you can then explore on this arm. But the fringe benefit of the content giving arm is that you'll be exploring lots of ideas that can then be turned into helping your clients. And a few people, now remember, on the content giving arm, don't worry whether some of those people will become your clients. My intention for the content giving arm is to help people for free, and my hope is that most people will never ever need, in my content giving arm, in my podcast, in this YouTube channel, I hope that most people who watch this and listen to this will never have to pay me money in my coaching business. If I have that intention, then I can be liberated to give most fully and to help most truly, right? So, and the other way I think about giving and the money side is this, and this is a little bit strange, but you might find this interesting too, just my ideas. I believe that the fewer people give us money and the less money they give us in terms of what they're able to give us, the more, and this is weird again, the more spiritual profit I'll have in heaven. Okay, now this is a little bit strange. Let me bear with me here. In the Eastern world, it's called karma, right? If you do good for other people with no expectation of return, and in fact with no return, the more you do that, the more positive karma you gain, the more of a good lifetime you'll have in the next one. In the Western world, in the Christian world, Judeo-Christian world, the idea is the more you can help people with no expectation of return, without any goodness coming back to you, the more spiritual profit you gain in heaven. The bigger the house in heaven, etc. I mean, I'm using these as metaphors. But I think that even in psychology, even in secular psychology, there's something to it. When you help someone, even if there's no goodness that comes back to you, you feel like, you know what, and with no expectation of return, your conscience, your brain, your mind feels good. There's a oxytocin. You feel like you're a good person. And in fact, they've been finding that when you feel that way, you're healthier physically. So whether you want to believe in the Western spirituality or Eastern spirituality or secular psychology and holistic health, there's something to giving without any goodness or reciprocity coming back to you. I call it the spiritual profit. Use whatever term you want. And so my belief is that the fewer the people in this life give me money. Money is life energy. It's your life energy. So the less you give me your money and the less fewer the people who do that, the more spiritual profit I have. And you know I have this really long view of the soul, right? So I'm really working for my eternity. So I encourage you to think about that as well and to do that. To work for that, either, again, if you're spiritual, work for eternity. If you're secular, work for the positive psychology of giving without return. And the goodness it feels. And know it feels good and be okay with that. Don't have to keep always looking for calculating. That's why people don't like calculating people, right? They don't like people being calculating. Why? Because human beings don't like people always calculating, when I give something, what am I going to get back? You see. So the great thing about this benevolent marketing philosophy is that you get your money needs met and you get your giving spiritual profit needs met. Does that make sense? So I hope this has been a helpful episode for you. I know has been more exploratory than most episodes because, as I said, I'm going to be starting to explore fascinating new ideas with you. I hope you find it interesting. And until the next episode, remember that your soul is eternal, that your consciousness is eternal and going towards a place of perfect love, beauty, creativity, and joy. And that you are protected and guided more than you can ever know. You're truly okay. And so until our next episode, keep your thoughts positive. Keep your heart open. Be well.